30 Eastern in London, Minnesota, and New Orleans going to go at it. Andy Dalton will start at quarterback for the Saints. Jameis Winston out with a back injury, and Alvin Kamara inactive for New Orleans. He's dealing with a rib injury. College football from Saturday. Number 1, Georgia rallies with a couple of fourth-quarter touchdowns to beat Missouri. Number 2, Alabama wins. Fourth-ranked Michigan over Iowa, 27-14. And number 5, Clemson at home in Death Valley, 30-20 over number 10, North Carolina State. Want some upsets? TCU beats number 18, Oklahoma. Purdue wins at 20th-ranked Minnesota. And how about Wake Forest, ranked 23rd, winning in Tallahassee over 22nd-ranked Florida State, 31-21. Major League Baseball, Braves beat Max Scherzer in the Mets 4-2, have a one-game lead in the NL East, and it's those two teams that play on Sunday Night Baseball, 6 p.m. Eastern here on ESPN Radio, while the Phillies are trying to hold off the Brewers in the wild card race in the National League.
0-1. Swung on, hit in the air, center field. It's deep. Robles going back. He's looking at it, and that ball is gone. It reaches the batter's eye.
Oh, the call from Sports Radio 90 for WIP. It's the Phillies beating Washington. Phillies 2 behind San Diego, but 1 up on Milwaukee for that final wild card slot. And John LeClair will start in the pole. Singapore Grand Prix, rain delay, but starting in minutes on ESPN2.
Deshaun, J. Will, and Max.
Max says Coach Belichick should retire yesterday.
I'm saying he is failing as a GM at the very least.
Get more from the guys Monday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
It's game day. Welcome to ESPN690 Game Day Live. Presented by Fuller Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tuckin. Here's Kasey Kuhrts and Brian Middleton.
Oh, here we go. We fired up for the first time in a long time, a regular season game that appears to mean, well, a lot. A lot here in Jacksonville, a lot here in Philadelphia as well. And I say here in Philadelphia, but I mean here in Jacksonville because that's where we are. We will check in Philadelphia, but right now it's Brian Middleton. The broadcast on, it's Kasey Kuhrts. It's ESPN690 Game Day Live. The Jags and the Eagles, week 4. And I'm not going to lie to you. When we got to week 4, I didn't think we'd be here. I didn't think we would be at this point in time where the Jags are a good team, the Eagles are a good team, and this is one of the best matchups in the NFL today. And I don't say that lightly. You got a Ravens-Bills game? Okay. You got Chiefs-Bucks? Yeah, you can try to lie and say that's a better game. This is a good football game. A lot of people have the Eagles as the number 1 team in the power rankings. I do as well. Brian Middleton does not. The Jacksonville Jaguars continue to climb into people's power rankings. 10 for some, 5 for others. Me and Brian Middleton can agree on that. It should be a heck of a matchup, but there is just one thing. I don't know if you've seen Brent Martineau's tweets, Brian Middleton. The weather in Philadelphia, it's a bit Philadelphia-y.
So like ornery and nasty.
Nasty.
No manners.
No manners.
Okay.
Raining
No
hard.
sense of decorum. Okay.
Yeah, raining hard in Philadelphia. So
is that like Ian After Effects or is it just?
Probably.
Got you.
We can go with that, right?
Sure.
Yeah, it sounds right.
Anyway.
But anyway, it is raining in Philadelphia. We'll check in with Brent. Could that positively affect the Jags? I know what you're thinking. Why would it do that? But if it's going to be raining hard enough where it's going to be tough to throw the football, that means A.J. Brown can't get it. That means Devonta Smith can't get it. You know what I'm saying?
I don't know. The way he catches.
At least down the field.
I got you. Okay, my bad.
Yeah,
Continue.
Yeah, I'm just saying, like, when you look at what this might turn into with weather, if we got to run the football consistently, both teams, well, I'm going to take James Robinson and Travis Etienne over Miles Sanders and Kenny Gainwell. I'm just saying. Anyway, we got plenty of time to talk about the weather, talk about the matchup, talk about all kinds of things. We are here for a couple of hours with you. Like I said, Brent will join us in just a bit. But this is where I want to start, Brian Middleton, and I said it's a big game. I believe that to be true. I believe it's well, obviously it is the biggest regular season game in a couple years going into it, right? The Buffalo game turned out to be a pretty big one because you beat Buffalo, and nobody saw that coming. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about going into the game like we've done all week, even with a hurricane in our city. We've talked about this game being a huge matchup. And that doesn't happen in Jacksonville often going into it in the regular season. So, Brian Middleton, here's what I did. I compiled a list, right, of other games in the regular season that going into it, you knew it was a big deal. And we will rank or try to figure out where this one sits to start off the show. That work for you?
Yeah, let's go.
All right. So the first one that I compiled was in 2021. We are definitely going to skip past this one, but I do want to bring it up. I think most people were pretty excited week one with Trevor Lawrence and Urban Meyer. We came to find out, not the same. So that one's on the back burner.
Okay.
But I do want to tell you that people were fired up for that. So then we go back to 2019 because in 2020, really, there was nothing going on there. 2019, this was something that somebody brought up on the chat a couple of days ago. Week 3, the Jags were 0-2 Thursday Night Football against the Titans. You may remember it as Gardner Minshew's first home start in prime time as well. It was also the Jalen Ramsey game. Remember, his back was a bit hurting. And then Jalen forced his way out of Jacksonville. That was that game. They won 20-7. But going into it, you knew you had the Jalen aspect. Minshew was kind of taking over. That's really the game that the Minshew mania started because after that they go to Denver. They win that game in Denver and everybody goes nuts. It rained all night, but they shredded up the Titans, which obviously is not something that they have done a lot. So I put that on the list. I don't know where it fits, but I put that on the list. How about 2018, Brian Middleton, week 2? Coming off of 2017 and a loss to the Patriots. The Patriots came to Jacksonville in week 2. And it was a wild crowd. I was there, not with those, some of those media people that you think all high and mighty sitting in the press box. No, that wasn't me. I was with the people
there you go.
In the UNF student section.
Man up.
And it was wild. And I tell you what, and the Jags routed the Patriots in that game. Keelan Cole had that one-handed catch, a 31-20 win for the Jags. That's the one that I think I'm stuck on. But I did go back to 2017. And this was a big one as well. Again, not with the media people. I was in the crowd with the UNF people, and it was wild. Week 14 in 2017, the Seattle Seahawks game that was flexed from 1 to 425. We had, what's-his-name, jump in the crowd and fight the fans. I don't know if you remember that. Sheldon Richardson, I think was his name.
That's right.
Yeah, that happened.
I forgot about that.
Yeah. That was a wild thing. The 75-yard throw from Blake to Keelan. Everything was electric. The Jags win the game. They go to 9-4, and it was the first winning season secured since 2017. So you knew all those things were possible going in. So I give you those options, week 14 and 17, week 2 in 2018, week 3 in 2019, or week 1 in 2021. Where does this game rank to you going into it to those games?
Probably 1 or 2.
Yeah.
For multiple reasons. First and foremost, the excitement that you mentioned for the first game of Urban and Trevor together, you're right. It was crazy. Even people who were skeptical were like, hey, man, this is it right here. Okay, we got the big name coach. We got the big name QB. This is what you want for your team. And you're right. It ended up, not being anything. Well, everybody lived through it, and I won't be stated right now. But this start right here, I think, is causing a slow, growth towards that kind of fervor when you start talking about, all right, guys, 2-1, probably should be 3-0. And this game right here is against the best team in the NFC as of 3 weeks into the NFL season. So this is probably where people are looking at the biggest test. How legit is this squad? Now, I think a lot of people think that this squad is very legit, and by squad, I mean the Jaguars, especially defensively, but offensively, you can't deny what they've done the past 2 weeks. But granted, they've done it against teams. They've effectively shown what they could do against teams that were, down by injury and by talent. Mm-hmm. And they did what you're supposed to do against those teams, but this team that we're playing this week, Philly, ain't injured, and they just as talented. So now we are like, okay, this is one of those litmus test games. This give us a benchmark where we're at in the first quarter of the season. So I think that's huge for that reason. And if you win, you want to be a part of Jags Twitter. If you win this game today, you want to be a part of Overreaction Monday because the energy level will be through the roof. You ever seen Dragon Ball Z, Kasey Kuhrts?
I have.
You know, Super Saiyan?
Yeah, familiar.
You know what I mean? You start glowing and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It'd be that kind of level, Kamehameha level type energy around here if this is a win. And so there's a lot of implications here, even though it's early in the season. And it's with a young team that's building confidence. You got a generational talent, as people call Trevor Lawrence, that's building confidence. And this is one of those things where you can point back to this kind of win right here is one of those things you can point back to and be like, okay, this is where we saw them start to really take off. This is why over the next 5 or 6 seasons, they're always going to the playoffs, AFC Championship game, vying for a Super Bowl right here. So I would put this game potentially 1 or 2 on that list.
Yeah, I would agree with you there, and I think you make a lot of good points because I just think we got to find out about this team, right? You made a good point. You've beaten some teams that have been down for injury or not as talented. I don't think the culture is talented. I think the Chargers at full strength are as talented. So I agree with those points. And again, going back to Washington, I still don't think they're as talented. I think it was week 1 and they pulled out a win. Shout out to them. But yeah, for me, this is number 1 because, you know, in 17, you were probably going to get there either way, right? The Seattle game was a big one. It was a stamp game, but at the same time, take care of your business. You had a couple more weeks to go. This one's early in the season. This is a team that I think the national hype wants to get around in Jacksonville, but they're not there yet. I think there's a lot of belief in Philadelphia nationally, as there should be, and the Jags going into their place and winning a game with both teams at pretty much full strength would be a big deal. And I think the weather, by the way, plays into this perfectly for kind of what I've been saying the last week. Because the evolution for me of the defense, the next thing that the defense can do is win them a game when it's close. And they're going to have that opportunity today. I think if the weather plays a factor, or if it's straight up just going to be hard-nosed, run the football and stop the run, that's where I think the defense will get their opportunity to really take that next step and win a game 21-17, 24-21. So I think you're going to see a lot of running the football, and I think the Jags are going to have to stop the Philadelphia Eagles from running the football. So that's what I'm at least excited to see, and I think you're right about where this game ranks in terms of the historical value of it. Let me check in on the stream. Obviously, we are live, Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as ESPN 690 AM on the radio in Jacksonville. Matt Cooper, you are right. I meant to say 2007. But, you know, numbers. Sounds good. I meant to say that, so, you know, I get confused with the numbers. We got ETN will make a game-changing play today. Mark it. I will have to pull up the YouTube because my eyes aren't good enough to see who said that. But I agree with you. ETN continues to get involved. I think, I'm telling you, nobody's really gone with me on this, but I'm going to say it. I think last week getting ETN all those carries at the end of the game when it didn't really matter, I think that was valuable because James Robinson has been so good early in the games. You don't want to take him out. ETN hasn't got a ton of carries, but the consistency in the carries he got at the end of the game, I think, could be valuable, gaining the confidence, just figuring out the NFL game in total. And, yeah, he's due for a big play. Is Zay playing? Adam Schefter had a report that late last night, as he does, which I don't know why Adam Schefter's getting info at like 3 in the morning every Sunday morning, but shout out to him. Everybody else asleep, he working. There is a report that Zay Jones should play. That's what Adam Schefter said. I haven't heard anything from like the Jags or from Brent, but that is what Adam Schefter said. So we will kind of see how that plays out. And then 30 rushing attempts is the key to success. I agree with that. I think they need to run the football. James Robinson needs he's been their best player. You need to continue to feed James Robinson. And to the earlier comments point, yeah, ETN needs to get involved as well. And I think they will, especially if the rain and the weather is a factor. Brian Middleton, we got Steve, you said?
We do.
Steve, what's going on, man? How you doing on a Sunday Jags game day morning?
Super stoked, man. Super stoked. But, like, listening on or whatever, not many people are bringing in the fact, oh, the Eagles are just going to, you know, hey, they're going to remain undefeated. It'll be close, but you know what? The Eagles are still going to be there. They've been playing great and all that, but nobody brings up the fact that the last, 2 games, they get to 24 by the first half and then never score a point for the rest of the game. They never bring up the fact that Eagles, yes, have a good pass rush, a good secondary, but they've allowed 110 to 115 yards rushing a game. And, I mean, just nobody's bringing up the downsides where we're actually good. We have a top rushing attack. Our defense is the number one in rush defense. We outrank in turnover and everything. So, I mean, I just think it's kind of, yeah, we're getting a little praise, but nobody's bringing up the negatives that kind of go in our favor a little bit. I mean, we do have a top rushing attack, and if they're allowing over 100-plus a game, I mean, let J-Rob feed.
Yeah, Steve, appreciate you as always right here on ESPN 690. Thanks for calling in. And yeah, I'm with that, by the way. I think if you, and it's a good stat pull by you, by the way, because I think if you just straight look at the box scores, right? The Vikings, when they played the Eagles, they just kind of gave up on it, right? Dalvin Cook, he didn't have a lot going. They kind of gave up on it. And then the Commanders got down early. But you go back to that game one with your point. Swift was feasting. Jamal Williams was feasting to that point. So, yeah, they have shown that you can run the ball against them, which, again, to your point, Steve, is the strength of this team. James Robinson needs to feast. So I am with you all the way there. And then your point about them not scoring points in the second half, I think is a fair one as well. And I think if I'm making the argument in Philadelphia, if I'm talking on a Philadelphia radio station, what I would be saying to that point is, well, we haven't had to, right? We've been up. The last two games, they've taken care of it. Now, the Lions game, I'm with you. That got a little scary, right? But the game against the Vikings, they were in control. The game against the Commanders, they were in control. So they didn't really need to score. Their defense held it up. But the point you make is a fair one because Jacksonville has been a good team in the second half. So I think the Eagles can look at this as I look at it. Like the evolution for me is, can the defense win you a game? I think for Philadelphia, they're looking at it as like, okay, can we, play 4 quarters of a game? Because the Lions tried to give you that, and they scared the heck out of you if you're Philadelphia in week 1. But so what can Philadelphia make their evolution of the game? So I think that is a couple of good points. We'll see how it plays out, but I'm with that. I think the Jags need to run the ball early, often, and consistently. Brian Middleton, do you agree?
Yeah, I think that the part about adjustments from Steve was very astute. First and foremost, when you start talking about good teams and probably the best teams in the league, most of them you would assume have great coaching, not just good coaching. And so if you have great coaching across the board between the two teams, especially at the top, the head coach, the coordinators, you have to start nitpicking at things that are going to give you the advantage. Are you going to put your players in the right spots more times than not than the other team? As far as execution, you can't really you have no say on that really outside of the play calling. But if you're putting your players in the best possible position, then their ability to execute, you hope grows exponentially. Also, adjustments. And so the fact that you go into the first half and you're basically beating people's heads in, it is interesting to see their second half performances. And so I get the argument, which is very fair if you're in Philly and you're on the radio or you're on TV and you're like, we haven't had to. I think that's that might be a little bit of bleak right there because you want to score as many points as you can because the amount of comebacks that have happened in the NFL, week 1, heck, week 2, not comebacks fully, but the craziness that's happened in the second half. You want to run once you're up by like 35, then you can do that. Yeah. But 24-8 is that's not a safe bet in any chance. I don't care how good your defense is. And what Philly hasn't shown is what the Jags have shown in game 1, especially. They haven't had to in other games, but especially with game 1, there was a lot of inconsistency. But if you remember that first half, most people were looking at the television screen or whatever you were watching it on, and were like, what is going on around here? And then they come out in the third quarter, and it was like, oh, this is what it's like when you go in at halftime and you have, competency across the board with the coaching staff where they're like, okay, this isn't working, we're going to start doing this. And then the players are also executing the actual plan. So adjustments are a big deal. And I think that the Jags have shown that they can do that. And they've also shown that they will keep pouring it on. They didn't have to score more points in last week against the Chargers, but what did they do? Like, nah, we need to go ahead and keep doing this because we need to, number 1, prove a point, and number 2, make sure that we salt away this game. So I'm not going to, I'm not going to downplay that, and I'm not saying that's what you were doing, Kasey, but I'm not going to downplay the fact that adjustments against the Eagles offensively seem to be working. There seems to be something where teams can be like, okay, this is what they're doing, and this is how we can stop it. Now, I'm not smart enough nor wise enough in football terms, like these coaches are, to even begin to say what those adjustments are. But it's been shown early on in the season that, a team can come in from halftime and be like, hey, I think we got a way to at least stop the onslaught. And I think that that's something that most teams in the future against Philly can be like, okay, well, even if we get down, once we get a feel of what they're trying to do, we could probably stop it. Then it's going to be a matter of, can we put points on the board if they're up, big to try to come back, or can we make sure that we keep scoring to keep them away from getting the lead?
Yeah, no, I'm with that, and I think some love in the chat to the point you were trying to make is the adjustments, and you think you have the better coach in Doug Peterson. Obviously, there's more to talk about with Doug Peterson in this game because he is returning to the place he won a Super Bowl. We'll get Brent's thoughts on that here in just a second. But before we go to break, Brian, I do want to get this out because I still see people in the chat talking about Zay Jones. As you should. Great game last week, and he is a valuable member of this offense. 1:01 a.m. this morning, so I was a little bit off on the time, but Adam Schefter said Jaguars receiver Zay Jones, listed as questionable for Sunday due to an ankle injury, is expected to play against the Eagles per sources. So we will see if that holds true, but Schefter usually has a pretty good idea about these things. Brian Middleton, we head to break. We come back. We're going to try to catch up with Brent. He said he might be getting into the stadium, so we will get him at some point here coming up, hopefully right away. But I do want to remind you, we got football starting in 9 minutes. So if you're hearing this, check your fantasy lineups if you have players that play for the Saints. And by the way, if you have players that play for the Saints in your fantasy lineup, they're probably out today. Michael Thomas, Jameis Winston, Alvin Kamara, all not playing in the game that starts in 9 minutes. So take them out of your fantasy lineup if you have them. They will play the Vikings, and we'll keep you updated on that one. But check your fantasy lineups, please, people. You don't want to lose because you have somebody inactive in your lineup. We come back right after this ESPN 690 Game Day Live. The Eagles and the Jags coming up in just a bit.
ESPN 690 pays your bills.
Are you kidding me?
You've got 5 chances to win $1,000 every weekday at 8 a.m., 10, noon, 2, and 5 p.m. This is a nationwide contest message and data rates apply. Complete rules at ESPN690.com. ESPN 690 pays your bills on ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
Now, the first alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mostly sunny and nice today. The afternoon high in the mid-80s, but with comfortable humidity. Makes for a nice and cool night tonight and a clear skies in the upper 50s. And your Sunday will be mostly sunny, highs near 85. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jack's First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Save thousands on buy one, get one on wedding bands now through October 23rd.
We're local, you're local. Shop local. Please shop local retailers right here in the 904.
Shop the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our community.
When you shop locally owned businesses, most of the money you spend with them stays right here in our community. Shop these great local businesses.
Pony Law, Best Bet, 904 Chiropractic, Pocalypse Cosmetics, Closets by Design.
Now, more than ever, we need to support local businesses and shop the 904.
They're a big part of what makes living in the 904 so great. To get your business listed, email shopthe904@cmg.com. That's shopthe904@cmg.com. Get your business listed.
Shop the 904.
To get your business listed, email shopthe904@cmg.com.
You have choices when booking a tour of St. Augustine from the water. Sadly, some tour boat operators don't follow the same high ethical standards as Red Boat Tours. Don't be a victim of fake reservations or misleading emails. Book with the one and only Red Boat Tours, one of the best boat tour experiences in America, according to USA Today. Locally and family owned and operated Red Boat Tours. Go to redboattours.com. That's redboattours.com to book a tour you can trust.
Hi, this is Mal Washington. The Malavia Washington Youth Foundation provides after-school and summer programs for youth in Jacksonville's urban core. Learn more about the foundation at malwashington.com. Want to offer hope and change a child's life? Please consider joining the Malavia Washington Youth Foundation once a week to mentor a child. Visit malwashington.com to learn more. Want to change a life but don't have time to volunteer? Consider sponsoring a child today. It's your serve. Visit malwashington.com to learn more.
September is here and fall is right around the corner, so they say. But you know what else is right around the corner? Your family-owned and operated dealer, Arlington Toyota. Right now, Arlington's got 500 new Toyotas available, and you get a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your new Toyota purchase. Arlington's even got 400 used ready to test drive and take home today. And Arlington's 30-day exchange program comes with your purchase. That's 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it. Shop in person and online anytime at arlingtontoyota.com.
If you play a sport or coach a sport or watch a sport in Jacksonville, there's a really good chance that uniform was ordered through Baker Sports. Look good, feel good, play good. Custom sports apparel at Baker Sports since 1997 and a staff that wants to help you. They are experts in the business and make outfitting your team a seamless endeavor. The homegrown Jacksonville business is now the top choice for apparel all over the Southeast. Baker Sports, uniforms, hats, shoes, embroidery, screen printing, and 3D printing. They do it all at Baker Sports, helping make your team look good.
The Jacksonville Police Athletic League enriches the lives of children by creating positive relationships between law enforcement and the youth of our community through educational, athletic, and leadership programs. This is Mary Bishop, the Executive Director of PAL. We'd like to invite you to get involved. With your support, we can continue to deliver our core program services: after-school education, summer camp, sports, mentoring, and teen leadership. To get involved, go to jaxpal.com. That's jaxpal.com. You can make a difference in the lives of a child. PAL today, leader for life.
Listen to ESPN 690 anytime, anywhere, on any device. Whether you're at home or on the go, get the latest on the Jags, FSU, the Jumbo Shrimp, and Action Sports Jacks on Odyssey.com. That's AUDACY.com or on ESPN690.com.
ESPN 690 Game Day Live. We roll on. The Jags and the Eagles. It's a big one. It is a big matchup. I'm excited to watch it. You should be as well. I saw a lot of Jags fans on Twitter, by the way, in Philadelphia. Good luck. You know, I've seen some good things. I've seen that some people getting some hate. And Philadelphia people are wild for being mediocre for like majority of their sports fandom. But anyway, I digress. And it would really be bad to be a Phillies fan right now. But that's a different show. That's a different show, Brian Middleton. We will not worry about that. Somebody that hopefully hasn't had to deal with any hate or things being thrown at them is television's Brent Martineau. Brent, you dodging rain and like beer bottles from the Philly fans? What's going on up there?
Yeah, they haven't let them in yet, so we don't have to worry about that. But I'm dodging rain, that's for sure. The tarp's on the field again. This kind of reminds me of the Washington game where you had a lot of rain in the forecast and the tarp was on. But the one big difference, it's going to rain all day here. That thing cleared out, ended up being a pretty nice day. That is not going to be the case. All we had to do is go to Philadelphia to get Hurricane Ian and from Jacksonville to Philly, I guess, because that's what we're dealing with today. Some windy conditions, tarps blowing around a little bit, and I think it's going to be nasty out here by the second half against the Eagles today. For both teams that they'll have to deal with it, little wind, raw, it's kind of chilly. And it stinks to be a fan today because you're going to get soaking wet.
Dang. So it's that serious. So, like, we're talking change the game plan, run the football, not going downfield, you think? Like, you think it's that serious?
I don't know. Do you think it kind of plays into the Jags' hands a little bit, the way they've been getting rid of the football so quick? I mean, they don't throw it downfield very much, you know? They throw a lot of intermediate to short passes and utilize that game. But I think you'll be able to throw it. I don't think it's going to be like the Buffalo Patriots game in terms of the win. You know, even earlier this year, was it Chicago where we saw the crazy
in
kick?
San Fran.
You know, I don't think it's that. I'm looking at the goalposts right now, and it's not too bad. But, again, you got some conditions that might factor in. It's going to deteriorate even more. I think they expect the first half of the game to kind of be off and on. But pretty much everybody's saying by 3 o'clock, you're going to get some pretty big cells in here of rain. And so I think it could get pretty nasty. Rely on the run game, James Robinson, Travis Etienne, the short passing game, and maybe that benefits the Jags a little bit. Some people think that does, but listen, the Philadelphia Eagles have a huge offensive line. I think that's really my focal point coming into this game all the way. It's like they want to play physical. They have a physical brand. They have a quarterback that can run the football, too. He doesn't even need to put it up in the air sometimes. So I'm not sure it favors Jacksonville. I don't think I feel that way. But it will favor a team that's able to physically impose on the other team, especially in the trenches.
It's interesting you say that because I do tend to lean, if that is the game, that it would favor the Jags due to maybe not having A.J. Brown and Devonta Smith as involved as they could be. And Jalen Hurts, I mean, the one question that he's had is the accuracy throwing the football. So I wonder how that will come in, Brent. But going by what you just said there, with the Eagles offensive line and the Jags defense being able to stop the run, that's the game for me now. And then you flip that into if the Jags can stop the run the way that they have in the first couple of weeks, I think you could walk away from this saying, holy cow, they did what the Eagles do best, and they took it away from them. This might be not a good defense, a great defense.
Yeah, I think it's interesting to see how, for me, that matchup is a good one, right? Jags do one of the best teams, if not the best team in the NFL, 55 yards a game against the run. But they also faced the Chargers team that gave up on the run. They did a great job against Jonathan Taylor. And now I feel like this is just going to be a little bit of a different game. I mean, the one thing about Jonathan Taylor and stopping him is the Jags knew they had nobody on the outside. They didn't have Pittman, they didn't have Pierce. They didn't have to worry about a lot. And so they knew they would lean on a guy like Jonathan Taylor because, well, the Colts always do, but they almost had to even more in that game. So I think this just is a different deal. You've got weapons on the outside. You've got Goddard. You've got the ability to use Miles Sanders in the backs in different ways, and you have Jalen Hurts' ability to run. I mean, to me, this is a great test because it's stylistically a little bit different. It's a different atmosphere. It's obviously got some weather conditions, and the Jags are working through some injuries of their own as well. No Caleb Chason in this game. We'll see what happens with Zay Jones in this game. And they're even down a lineman with Cole Van Landen. He won't be playing.
Yeah, that's a good point, Brent. You've been there or at least a day now. Have you seen the Doug Peterson statue? Did you make a trip out there?
Nah, we didn't go out last night. We got in, and now I doubt I'm going to go out just to take a picture of the statue that's already got 1 million pictures taken of it, because I usually would. We get right into the stadium, and so you actually have to leave the stadium to go get that and then come back. I'm not. I don't want my hair to get messed up for TV.
Yeah, that sounds about right. You are television's Brent Martineau. But anyway, from that, I know we've talked a lot about it, the return. I know you've been there a little bit. Do you get a sense from the city or anything, like how this return is going to play out? I think you think there's going to be some applause. I'm not sure on that. Have you got a feel of that since you've been there?
I think it's going to be a warm welcome. I really do. And I think just hearing some of the broadcasts here in Philly last night, early this morning, some of their shows, I think it's going to be a good ovation for Doug. Again, there's one major thing that factors in to people going back and getting an ovation or getting booed. Well, one is how toxic was it? But the other thing is, how is that team currently doing? Because how ticked off is the fan base that they don't have that guy and they're stuck with something different? Well, in this case, the Eagles are good. They're happy. Eagles fans are happy as they've just about ever been outside of that Super Bowl run. So they like their football team. They think there's good things ahead. So there's no reason to be no animosity, I don't think, toward Doug. And so I think Peterson will be welcomed in, and then the Jags will get booed from there on out. But if they do any kind of shot of Doug Peterson, I expect there to be, before the game I expect there to be a pretty good ovation. And then the other side of it is a lot of conversations here with the Jags and people inside the building over the last 24 hours is, what kind of tricks does he have up his sleeve? How bad does he want to win this game? I sensed he was probably a bit more emotional about this game than he wanted to let on because he didn't want to drag his team into it during the week. But the bottom line is, it's got to be emotional. I mean, he has a freaking statue outside the stadium. He won a Super Bowl. I mean, his legacy was built here, not because he was an assistant coach under Andy Reid, but because of what he did in Philly. So that's got to play with your emotions. And I also think he wants to look up into that owner's box and say, you let me go? You fired me? This is what you let go. And look what I'm doing now. So I think there's going to be an open playbook, if the weather allows, for Doug Peterson to have a few wrinkles that we haven't seen yet, because I think he'd like to beat the Eagles probably more than any win so far this season.
I believe that to be true as well. Brent, before we let you go, speaking of wrinkles, saw this in the chat a little bit earlier on the show, but I think it's about time. Is this the Travis Etienne breakout game in your opinion?
Yeah, I don't feel that because of the conditions, right? I'm just wondering if footing and all that stuff will play into it. I don't feel that, but it could be. It could be. I think the Jags, here's the reason why I say that, because I think the Jags are doing just fine with him in his current role. They don't need him to break out yet. Or maybe today is the day they need him to break out because James Robinson's getting stymied. We just haven't seen it yet. So we're throwing darts a little bit. We've had Christian Kirk, who's been very consistent, but he looked like the top guy. Evan Ingram had that big day, even though it was only 46 yards, it was 7 catches, and they were big against the Colts. And last week it was Zay Jones. Well, I could actually kind of see this going back toward an Evan Ingram day and saying, hey, we like our tight end. Used to use the tight ends up in Philly. And so I'm kind of feeling that Evan Ingram's going to have the big day today here in Philadelphia. This probably means something to him, too, playing in this division. So I'm actually leaning more toward Ingram as ETN as the breakout. But I hear what you're saying. I don't feel that. Doesn't mean it won't happen. But really, when you're talking about ETN, the breakout potential, we're just looking for one play. Like, he's been consistently pretty good when he touches the ball. But we're looking for that one home run play. That's what we're waiting to see still from ETN. And it's been 3 weeks, so I'm not saying we're getting impatient to see it. I think we will eventually. I'm not sure today's the day or not.
Yeah, I'm with you, Brent. By the way, I lied to you. I got one more for you about Chason. He hasn't played a ton. He's played a little bit. He's going to be out today. Do you foresee a situation where we notice he's not there? Or is this like the transition from Chason being still a role player to, we got Arden Key and we got some guys that could just take that role?
Yeah, I don't think you're going to notice it because nobody's really noticing Chason. But he has played well on special teams. And, inside the building, inside the game, on the film, I think people notice that. The football people notice that. I don't think us on the outside notice guys playing that great on special teams. I think Chad Mooma's done a nice job. I think Chason's done a nice job. There's probably others that I don't even know. But I don't think we'll notice it too much. Now, keep an eye on DeJuan Dixon. That's a guy they really like all the way back in the spring. We'll see if he's up today and if he gets a few snaps in there and can make a difference. He looks the part. They've liked him ever since they got him as an undrafted free agent, and we could get to see him in the football game a little bit in some packages here this afternoon.
Interesting, Brent. Appreciate the insight. Stay dry. Hopefully you set your fantasy lineup, by the way, because none of the Saints are playing and that game is underway. So hopefully you don't have an Alvin Kamara or someone in your lineup. All right, Brent, stay dry. We'll talk to you in a little bit.
All right, bye. That
is Television's Brent Martineau, CBS 47, Fox 30, ESPN 690. He does it all, and he's in Philadelphia. We will catch up with him. Before the end of the show, by the way, in that game, Vikings get the football first, and they're driving. If you got Justin Jefferson, you already got a catch. If you got Dalvin Cook, you already got a few yards. Things are moving for the Vikings right now in London. Obviously, the Jags will head over there in a couple of weeks, play the Denver Broncos. I was surprised, by the way. This one kind of snuck up on me because I don't really pay attention to, like, the London schedule, Brian Middleton, and they just kind of, like, popped up. I feel like it's early to play this game in London. No?
Yeah, but, they're trying to expand. As far as the league, they're trying to continue their worldwide reach. So, I get it. They got games, in London and Germany, Mexico City, I believe, this season. So, yeah, man, they gotta move some of the dates up in order to get all these international games to actually work, because they got soccer and stuff everywhere else too. So, you can't just impede on their schedule. They're like, yeah, we can fit you in September, early October.
That's true. And by the way, their show in the stadium, man, is just full. It's crazy. It's crazy how much the London fans have embraced football. Anyway, another catch for Justin Jefferson if you have him in fantasy. Real quick, Brian, catch up on the YouTube. This is a good one right here from 10th Hawkage, maybe? We'll go with that. Philly is going to be an amazing test for us. I think the defense is easily top 10 in the NFL right now. And I think that's the matchup of the game for me, especially. Is it weird, Brian, that I want this to be, because of the rain now, like the most unsexy football game of all time? Like, I just want it to be run the football and stop the run. Like, on both sides. Like, who's a tougher team? Like, I would love to find that out in this game. I think that would be exciting. I don't know if it's going to do great ratings, right, if you're not throwing it around to all those receivers that both teams have now. But I think that's going to be the big part of the game, and I'm excited to see it. Also, Kyo King agrees with me. Yes, it's the ETN breakout game, and Griffin will have his first interception the way the Eagles like to throw the ball deep. I'm with that as well. Shaq Griffin needs to make some plays, right? He's had some opportunities in Jacksonville, and then week 1, it wasn't really a shining moment in his Jags career or his NFL career. So, yeah, it's time for him to make a play. I am with that. We will see how that plays out. Brian Middleton, we got trivia coming up next or what?
We do have trivia coming up next,
There we
Kasey
go.
Kuhrts.
I will continue to dominate the Game Day Live. Trivia And we will do that right after the break. We'll keep you updated on the Vikings and the Saints. Vikings are driving right now on their way into the red zone. Obviously, we got more to talk about with this game. We'll talk to Brent again before we get out of here. The Doug Peterson part of it, more of a conversation there. A lot more to do. ESPN 690 Game Day Live. We'll do it right after this.
The best decisions are usually based on experience and trust. And when it comes to selling your home, Mark Spain Real Estate is the most trusted and experienced real estate team in the U.S. with nearly 10,000 five-star reviews. Hi, this is Mark Spain, and our offers are the strongest in the industry, so you can sell your home stress-free and make the most money. Our guaranteed offer keeps you in control. Find out what your guaranteed offer would be. There's no obligation. Call 855-299-SOLD or go to markspain.com to get a guaranteed offer on your home today and start packing.
Certain restrictions.
Dan owed an unbelievable amount of money to the IRS.
I got behind on my taxes. It's a horrible feeling.
He was in denial.
And when I got those letters from the IRS, you wanted to act like they didn't exist.
Finally, Dan turned to Optima Tax Relief, the leading tax resolution firm. A-plus rated by the Better Business Bureau, they've resolved over $1 billion for their clients.
Optima got me a settlement with the IRS. These people are really people-friendly. It was every bit of a new lease on life for me.
The fast action and the great results made Dan's head spin.
I felt like I was in a dream, but it's real, and I have paperwork to prove it. They got the job done, and life is good.
For tax help you can trust, call Optima now for a free consultation.
If you're worried about what's going to happen with the IRS, stop worrying. Make the call now.
Call 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460. 800-343-6460.
Optima Tax Relief.
Testimonial from an actual client. Some restrictions apply. For complete details, please visit OptimaTaxRelief.com.
We're local, you're local. Shop local. Please shop local retailers right here in the 904.
Shop the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our community.
When you shop locally owned businesses, most of the money you spend with them stays right here in our community. Shop these great local businesses.
Air conditioning, David and Associates, Farah and Farah, Florida Eye Specialist, Rhino Shield, Peterbrook Chocolate.
Now, more than ever, we need to support local businesses and shop the 904.
They're a big part of what makes living in the 904 so great. To get your business listed, email shopthe904@cmg.com. That's shopthe904@cmg.com. Get your business listed.
Shop the 904.
Get your business listed, email shopthe904@cmg.com.
Beards Diamonds has been busy this fall, getting their showcases ready for the largest inventory of wedding bands in North Florida.
So, if you're getting married soon or want to upgrade your bands, don't miss Beards Diamonds' incredible Buy One, Get One wedding band sale. Happening October 1st through the 23rd.
And only at Beards Diamonds.
All wedding bands are buy one, get one free.
Save thousands. Plus, all stackables, all right-hand rings, all eternity bands, and more are buy one, get one free.
See hundreds of styles from the latest designers at beardsdiamonds.com.
It's the largest selection of wedding bands in North Florida.
At the guaranteed lowest price.
Couples wait for this sale all year.
Buy any wedding band and get the other band free.
Now you can go bigger and better with the band she's always dreamed of during Beard's Buy One, Get One sale.
But hurry, these savings end on the 23rd.
Get the lowest prices in Jacksonville, guaranteed at Beard's Diamonds.
Or at beardsdiamonds.com.
It's peak season at Fanatics and we are hiring. Come work for a great local company you already love. Starting pay is $16 per hour. All Fanatics new hires start with 20 hours of unpaid time off, a 40% employee discount, and can contribute to their 401k. Based on company needs, new hires have a chance to be permanent employees with more benefits after peak season. All you have to do to apply is text FAN to 89743. That's FAN to 89743. Did you write that down? Apply by texting FAN to 89743. Fanatics is an equal opportunity employer.
Hey, it's Brett Mortno from Action Sports Jacks. Did you know you can watch our radio show? Yeah, video of a radio show. Just search ESPN 690 Jacks on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Or follow me on Twitter at Brent A.S. Jacks. Watch the show live weekdays from 3 p.m. until 6 p.m. or listen on ESPN 690.
Now back to more of ESPN 690 Game Day Live. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tekken. Here's Kasey Kuhrts and Brian Middleton.
Rolling along. Game Day Live, ESPN 690. The Jags and the Eagles. It's going to be a good one. Hopefully it's going to be a good one, because what a win it would be for the Jacksonville Jaguars. What a game it could be just to compete in this football game. Something that you haven't seen in a long time, going into play a really good team. You're like, you know what? They got a chance. And we will see if they do have a chance in this football game. We got plenty of time to continue talking about this game. By the way, touchdown for the Vikings. Dalvin Cook owners, close your ears, because it's Alexander Mattison getting the rushing touchdown for the Minnesota Vikings. So it'll be a 7-0 game for the Vikings. On their first drive they score, Saints will get the football coming up next.
Fun fact, Kasey.
Yeah. What
two
you
of them. First and foremost, if you guys listen to my Celsius tips for picks, that was a guy that I said make sure that you may want to put in there. Don't know how that shoulder.
Alexander Madison?
Yeah, I was like,
wow.
I don't know how your shoulder's feeling, Dalvin. I know you're gonna play, but you never know. You never know. So that might be. Hey, you should have listened. And then 2, Kasey Kuhrts, before we get into what we're going to get into next.
Yeah.
You realize what month this is right here. You just celebrated your birthday. Didn't want to put your business in the street, but we already talked about it before.
Mm-hmm.
But that was last month. You know what this month is?
October.
Yeah, well, okay. There you go, smart aleck. We're barreling towards the 1-year anniversary of when we made our debut.
Oh, yeah.
When we blessed the Jacksonville masses. When we said we're going to step up and step out for Jacksonville, because we want to make sure we're there for them.
Yeah.
We want to make sure they understand.
We knew you needed it.
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
You need it on 15 different streaming platforms and the radio.
Yes.
So, that's going to be Georgia, Florida, October 29th. That'll be the 1-year anniversary. We'll do something.
It's already that soon. Man.
It flew by.
Things are flying by. Because, yeah, you're right. We got the baseball coming up. We did some World Series stuff as well. So, yeah, you're right on the money with that one, Brian Middleton. By the way, quick update. Alexander Mattison was a touchdown receiving, not rushing. He caught it out of the backfield. So get that extra point if you played him in DFS or wherever you would have played Alexander Mattison. I guess you should have listened to Brian Middleton and played him in your fantasy. Brian Middleton, Kasey Kuhrts. We got trivia, game day trivia. What do we got, Brian?
We got game day trivia, Kasey Kuhrts.
All right, I've been dominating this on Game Day Live. Not so much on Overtime with Kuhrts and Middleton.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? But you know what? You had a little bit of a break this week, maybe last week too. And, I think that you're going to come back stronger this upcoming week against whoever may be facing you. But right now, Kasey Kuhrts, I want to make sure that you continue to hold yourself to the same standards that you hold the Jags to, of knowing your opponent, knowing the city, knowing the background,
Rocky
because you want to
Balboa.
be as prepared as possible, Kasey Kuhrts.
Yes, I'm ready.
All right, let me get this music going on.
Play along in the chat if you so wish.
Absolutely. Next time, call in. Okay, first up, Kasey Kuhrts.
Yep.
Devin Lloyd earned Rookie of the Month honors this past week because of stellar play on the field. This made him the 3rd Jag to receive this honor in the past 4 seasons. Can you name the other 2 Jaguars that have earned this honor since 2019?
Rookie of the Month?
Rookie of the Month.
Is it just defense or both?
It's the rookie, so yeah, it includes everything.
All right. James Robinson? And I need 2.
Yeah, it's been 3 in the last 4 seasons.
This has been that good.
Think back. Playing Philly today, but playing the Philadelphia Eagles.
Oh, Minshew.
There we go, Kasey Kuhrts. There we go. All right, next up. This 9-time Pro Bowler and Hall of Famer who attended Raines High School was drafted by the Philadelphia Eagles in 1996.
Brian Dawkins.
There you go, Kasey Kuhrts. Gotta read these more slowly. We're gonna fly through this. All right. This Philly rapper has been associated. That's what I'm talking about. My dog. That's how you answer those questions.
Yeah.
Now, that's how I want you to answer them, Kasey Kuhrts. From here on out.
Yeah.
That's how we do it.
Yeah.
He said Meek Mill, in case I was talking over him, guys. All right, next up. In 1999, the Jags ended up 14-2 in the regular season, but including the playoffs, they ended up losing a 3rd game. All of the losses came to the same team. What team was it?
A year?
1999. You might have been one.
It's Tennessee.
No. And whoever just answered in the chat as well. I can't see your name. That's exciting. Good job.
No.
No?
It just came up on mine. I'm watching it in delay. But I knew it. Trust me.
Oh, no. I wasn't saying that you. I wasn't saying that you looked at that. I was just giving them props.
All right, I'm just checking.
Man, let me give the people props.
I'm right, because I'm just doing the math. I'm like, who could they have lost to twice anyway?
Right now, you're undefeated. Okay, Here we go. This media mogul is known for his comedy and acting. And
Kevin Hart.
There you go, Kasey Kuhrts. I wanted to end it by saying he stands 5'2", but he's still a huge Eagles fan. But you didn't let me get to my bars. There you go. I like it.
Good.
The Jag Stadium has had 4 names in its lifetime: TIAA, Everbank, Jacksonville Municipal Stadium, and what?
Should I know? Because I don't have it.
When you hear it, I think you're going to be like, oh, yeah, that's right.
I don't know.
Say something, though. That's
Gator Bowl.
You know what? Not a bad guess, I guess, but it's Alltel Stadium. Remember that?
Kind of.
Casey's like, no. Again, I was in.
It was like 0.
Here we go. No, don't do that. Don't do that. You were not 0. All right, next up. How many playoff appearances did the Eagles make from 2000 to 2010? That's a lot of Andy Reid, Donovan McNabb, a little bit of T.O.,
How many hands do I need? 1?
Hopefully you need 2 just for life.
Well, I'm going with 4.
Easy, no. You only missed 1 season in that decade.
They were that good?
Yeah, they were that good. I had to double check.
How they didn't win nothing?
Hey, man.
That's embarrassing.
You know what I mean?
That's embarrassing.
Jags backup QB C.J. Beathard went to what Big Ten school?
Iowa, right?
There you go, Kasey Kuhrts. All right, let's see if we can make this. Which Eagle QB threw for 464 yards against Green Bay, which is still a team record?
Got 1 shot here. I'm going to go Donovan McNabb.
There you go, Kasey Kuhrts. I'm going to make these harder. I got to make these harder because
I knew you wouldn't do me dirty.
9-1. I was, I had a Randall Cunningham that I was going to try to throw in there, but, I didn't want to hear you whine about, your parents not having met yet.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, don't break anything you can't. Well, you can buy it now. I don't know. But, hey, man, good job, Kasey Kuhrts. 9-1.
Thank you.
Is that going to trend? Are you going to trend that direction on Wednesdays with Are You Smarter Than Kasey Kuhrts? Because that's the kind of performance that we need right there.
It's
Answering
possible.
questions before I finish them.
It's possible. You might have to tune in to find out. Anyway, Game Day Live Trivia with Brian Middleton. I'm killing it, which is the important part of the segment. A couple minutes ago before we hit the break to get to the top of the hour, Brian Middleton, the broadcast on. Kasey Kuhrts with you as well. By the way, the Saints are going. No, they're punting. All right, Taysom Hill was on the field, so I was very confused. But they are going to punt the football back to the Vikings. They do not score, so the first quarter winding down in that one, the Vikings up 7-0. It's been a slow-moving first quarter. A lot of running the football in that game. So coming up, what do we got in the next hour? We're going to talk some Doug Peterson. We'll talk to Brent again, get the feel of that. What are the keys to win? Maybe some fantasy picks, the Surgical 6, Brian Middleton. What are we missing?
I can't wait to hear the Surgical 6, man. That's the kind of stuff that I write down so I can make some money.
There you go. And I can't tell you to do it. I'm just giving you like what I'm potentially doing.
Absolutely, man.
Which, by the way, I just want to throw this out there. Don't ever bet on Indiana, right? I can give you that advice because I can't even explain to you how badly Indiana really messed me up last night. Listen, I got love for the Hoosiers. We're not going to talk much college football. But just know, like, if you're looking to make a Surgical 6 and you're like, oh, the Hoosiers, they can beat Nebraska. Or at the bare minimum, lose by 5.
Black shirts weren't having it no more.
They lost by like 15.
At least they ain't Oklahoma. Holy smokes, they had to turn away.
Yeah.
Man, I was like, this is a crime scene. I got to testify if I keep watching this game.
It really was. Hey, real quick, before we go to break, I know this is like, don't start a topic with like a couple minutes left, but I'm going to do it.
Start the topic.
You asked me in the break.
Uh-huh.
You said, hey, you weren't scared of Carson Wentz. I said, no. You said Matt Ryan. I said, no, not with those weapons. Herbert, not 100%. No, I wasn't really scared of that. I am scared of Jalen Hurts, and I think that's where you were going. This will be the first time the Jags play a quarterback this year that I am scared of for them. Obviously, I'm sure they're not scared of him, but I think Jalen Hurts presents them with a different problem than they've had to deal with all year. Like, even if Herbert's healthy, he's not that mobile. Like, Jalen Hurts is, you get to him in the backfield, and he can stiff arm, like, goodbye. Like, Jalen Hurts is a massive human. He's like a running back size. Not to get like weird on it, but have you seen his legs? They're huge, right? This guy, you remember that video of him at Oklahoma when he was squatting? That video was all over Twitter.
Clearly you do.
Yeah.
I do not remember that, Kasey.
Trust me, I remember it. This is a big human, right?
Okay, hey.
So I am scared of this guy. And I think in the conditions where he might not be able to throw as well, I'm even more scared of him because of how mobile he is. You know what I mean? Like, I think this is an extremely tough matchup. Nobody's figured it out yet this year, by the way. He's been dominant through 3 games. So, can the Jags figure it out? Maybe. But I think back of all the trouble they had with Marcus Mariota, and I'm like, well, and this is a whole different beast. And at times they figured out Mariota, but for a lot of times he was running around really at will on the Jags. So can they figure out the mobile quarterback? Obviously, it's been multiple different regimes since then. But whole different team, whole different scheme, whole different defense, which is the important part of the conversation. But to answer the question that you brought to me in the break, yeah, I am concerned about Jalen Hurts. Are you not?
I don't think so.
Really?
But I was with you on not being scared about a quarterback like Carson Wentz, right? 2 totally different QBs. I get it. Skill sets. I don't know if I would say skill levels, except if you're looking at particular things like being more mobile. Of course, Jalen Hurts has that. But if we're just talking about being able to make throws, I'm not pitting him ahead of a Carson Wentz. I'm not putting him ahead of a Matt Ryan. I'm not saying he can't throw the ball. Clearly he can. But it's one of those things where it's like the element of being mobile on top of being able to make most of the throws is that different look that you're talking about. But it doesn't scare me because though he's playing well, it hasn't been, and this isn't fair, but Lamar Jackson level.
Right.
That's not a fair, because nobody's playing at that level right now, but it's not a Josh Allen level. He's doing what he does well. The offense is tailored to him, and they're executing. I get it. But I got to go back to like what Steve was saying and what you kind of touched on. When you start getting into the second half of things, I would be interested in seeing that breakdown of how are his stats in the second half. I know it's good enough that they're 3-0, but things do seem to calm down just a bit. I think it's one of these things where if you can take that initial onslaught from the team, from Jalen Hurts in that first half, you might be cooking with something, because maybe, nobody's really punched them back. Detroit did, but we think that the Jags are just as talented or more talented than Detroit. So, there's a lot of different factors, but he doesn't frighten me in the way that even a Justin Herbert did, because Justin Herbert was just on the field, ribs or not.
Yeah. No, I'm with you. It's an interesting point. I think Jalen Hurts is the best quarterback they've played this year, and they will have to figure out how to stop him. Let's go to break, Brian Middleton. When we come back, we got something on the chat that I want to answer from Kaio King, I think is how you say it. I will present you with the question, and then we will answer it on the other side. It's not really a question, but it's just a statement. Our defensive coordinator knows how to stop Hurts. He was with the Bucs last year, and they stopped him in the playoffs. It's an interesting point, and we continue with it on the other side. ESPN 690 Game Day Live. We'll be right back.
If you've been living with joint pain, you know how that feels, and it doesn't feel good. Some of you might be living with joint pain or even arthritis and don't know the extent of it yet. Well, what QC Kinetics is doing for folks like you is nothing short of amazing. I'm talking real lasting relief from joint pain. Hey, everybody, it's Brent Martineau. QC Kinetics is the nation's leader in exciting new pain treatments with advanced regenerative medicine, non-surgical alternatives. If you're living with joint pain from injury or arthritis, don't let them tell you steroids and pain meds and surgery are your only options. QC Kinetics uses regenerative treatments that can restore and repair damaged tissue, and you can get a free consultation from QC Kinetics simply by calling 904-274-5522, 904-274-5522. Now in Mandarin and Ponte Vedra, these amazing protocols work with pain caused by injury as well, like a torn meniscus or rotator cuff. Call QC Kinetics for a free consultation. 904-274-5522. 904-274-5522.
Broadcasting live from the Anajar and Levine studios. Anajar and Levine, accident attorneys. Call 1-800-747-FREE. That's 1-800-747-3733.
WOKV Jacksonville. Listen live everywhere you go on ESPN690.com. ESPN690, a Cox Media Group station.
This is SportsCenter.
Hello there. I'm Mark Robbins. The NFL game in London is underway, and the Minnesota Vikings, their offense underway, scoring on their opening drive. Kirk Cousins to Alexander Mattison on the TD pass. 7-0 Minnesota with about 2.5 to go in the first quarter. Now later today, the Steelers are going to host the Jets. Pittsburgh off to a 1-2 start. Rookie quarterback Kenny Pickett is getting outside support from fans and the like to be playing more. However, as ESPN NFL writer senior writer Jeremy Fowler says, the Steelers, they don't bend to pressure.
Mike Tomlin's different than most coaches, where he doesn't really care about the external pressure part of it. Coaches, whether they want to admit it or not, typically do care about that. Tomlin's going into it figuring, hey, Mitch Trubisky, we know he's a proven guy, got pedigree. Like, he wants him to play the whole season. Like, that's the goal here. He's not. I don't think he's necessarily going to abandon ship even if they lose to the Jets.
That's Jeremy Fowler earlier on Dari and Mel here on ESPN Radio. ESPN's Adam Schefter reports the NFL and the Players Association will interview Tua Tagovailoa next week. They continue their joint investigation of the quarterback's quick return to the Miami-Buffalo game a week ago, and the unaffiliated neurotrauma consultant involved in that game has been fired after it's been found that he made several mistakes in his evaluation of Tagovailoa. College football from Saturday, number 1 Georgia with 2 fourth-quarter touchdowns, rallies to get a win at Missouri, beating the Tigers 26-22.
Keyshawn, J. Will, and Max.
What Joe Burrow wore into the pregame, did it have flowers on it? Was it tulips?
You know, I love me some Joe Burrow. He was looking a hot mess.
Get more from the guys Monday morning at 6 Eastern on ESPN Radio and on ESPN2.
This is Paul Gray, founder of Gray Matter Distillery, inviting you to check out the new home of Jacksonville's first craft distillery in beautiful Atlantic Beach. Since 2014, we have been the proud distillers of such iconic local spirits as Carr Vodka and Live Oak Whiskey. In our new distillery, you can enjoy one of our handcrafted cocktails made using only the freshest ingredients for only $8 a drink. Enjoy cocktails, sample small batches of vodka or whiskey, or take a bottle home. Pick up your very own Gray Matter Distillery shot glass for free when you mention this ad. Come see us this weekend, and remember to please drink responsibly.
Ready to swoop in the fall of 2022? The UNF Ospreys are ready with a lot of momentum on campus. New improvements at UNF Arena with basketball season right around the corner and tickets already on sale. The fall schedule underway in volleyball and men's and women's soccer, also men's and women's cross country. Get the latest news, schedules, results, and information on tickets for all things Ospreys at UNFospreys.com. Join the Osprey Club, attend a game or a match. Be a part of the momentum at the University of North Florida right now at UNFospreys.com.
Chest up, engage your core.
At Misty's gym, boot camp gets pretty close to the real thing. She wants to spot a personal trainer with a military background.
I can cover this week's boot camp, but we need someone stat. Isn't your cousin a Marine?
Indeed can help her hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. We instantly connect you with quality candidates whose resumes on Indeed match your job description. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
It's game day. Welcome to ESPN 690 Game Day Live. Presented by Fuller Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tuckin. Here's Kasey Kuhrts and Brian Middleton.
The second hour, ESPN 690 Game Day Live. The broadcast on Brian Middleton, Kasey Kuhrts. We get you set, the Eagles and the Jags, 1 o'clock coming up. And if you're on Twitter and you follow Brent A.S. Jax, which I recommend you do, it is going to be nasty. The weather, it is raining, it is windy, the tarp is on the field, and it's blowing up and down. Things are going to be wild in Philadelphia today. So expect the run from both teams, and a lot of it. Brian Middleton, Kasey Kuhrts. We get you set for another hour on ESPN 690. And before the break, we did a first hour, by the way. You can find it coming up after this hour. I know that doesn't make sense, but you'll understand it if you stay on the radio. or you can go back and listen YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, and Twitch. But we had this topic that was brought up, and it's a good one. Kaio King, again, I'm pretty sure that's how you say it, on YouTube, which you can chat on YouTube if you so choose. Action Sports Jax, ESPN690. Search either of the two. You will see me and Brian live here doing the show. But anyway, the thought was our defensive coordinator knows how to stop Hurts. He was with the Bucs last year, and they obviously dominated him in the playoffs. And that is something that I had forgot about for the most part. But I was like, that's a good point. Let me look into that a little bit. So, throughout the break, I'm looking into it, and the Bucs won the football game 31-15. And a couple of things I forgot about from that game, Brian Middleton. The Eagles did not score until it was 31-0. Right? So the Bucs put up 14, and then the Eagles put up 15 in the fourth quarter, but that didn't really matter. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, well, what did they really do to Jalen Hurts? And did they get the pressure on him? Yeah, he had pressure. They only sacked him twice, though. The problem was with Jalen Hurts was he threw it to the other team twice, and he let go of the football one time. So 3 turnovers from the quarterback. And that's something that I don't think happens again, right? I think the defense is talented enough to do that, but I think Jalen Hurts is just a better player now.
Absolutely.
Now, will the weather play into potential turnovers? Absolutely. There's no doubt about it. But, I think Jalen Hurts has just progressed to the point where he's not just going to be throwing it, willy-nilly and throwing interceptions. By the way, they were down early. That's the biggest part of this for me. We'll get to that in a second. He threw it 43 times in the game. And I don't think that's what they want to do. They haven't been doing that this year. They had to do it a little bit in the Lions game, but they run the football. They throw it when they need to, and getting behind early for them was not where you want to be, because then Jalen had to throw the football. And again, at the time, he was not the best at doing that. He still was figuring that out. I think he has figured that out. But for me, when I look at this and I look back at what they did to him, one, if you can get turnovers at will, I'm all for it. But the big part of this for me was, 2 touchdowns in the first quarter, so then you put them on their heels. And I still think that's a thing, especially in this game. Of course, I can't see the future, but you get the football first, you score a touchdown with James Robinson, boom, you're in a good spot. I think the pressure that you can put on Jalen Hurts is how you get to him. Not literally with the pass rush. I'm just saying put him in a situation where in these bad conditions, he has to throw the football, which still yet to be seen. He's been better at it this year, but put him on that back heel. Make them have to throw even when they don't necessarily want to. So when I look at this, that's kind of what I take from it. Sure, if you can force turnovers, I'm with it, but get up on the board early. Because as much as they dominated him, it wasn't as much for me as what the Bucs did, as in, they put Jalen Hurts in a position where he couldn't succeed.
No, I'm with you, Kasey Kuhrts. And also, like you said earlier, it's another year. He's been working on his game. I was looking some stuff up as well in the break and while you were talking. And one of the articles that I pulled up, I believe it was NBC Sports, but it was talking about how the defense was already calling game when they were up 14-0 because they saw that
they weren't worried. Yeah.
That he couldn't read. He couldn't make all the reads, I guess, number one, fast enough. And even when he would make a read, the passes, most people who were watching playoffs saw the game. So, you know how it was. He took full accountability for it. But listen, this is the same guy, all right? I'm not raining superlatives upon Jalen Hurts, but you got to recognize what he's been doing, who is playing very well. He's averaging 9.3 yards per pass thrown. So, that's tops in the league. Mm-hmm. He has weapons around him. And it looks different. It looks better. The same thing we talk about with Trevor in the offense. It looks better than last season, and it looks like many levels better, to the point where you're like, okay, this isn't the same guy. This isn't the same offense as last season. So to kind of fall under the guise of you have a guy who stopped him last year. There is some truth in that. And Hurts may have some things that he has some tells. He has some weaknesses that this coach can exploit because he knows how to do it. And we have the talent to do it potentially. But also have to understand that Jalen Hurts is trying, and he got better in the offseason. So I'm sure he's trying to address whatever weakness, whatever things that held him back won't hold him back in the future. So, like everybody's getting a bit better. That being said, I hope it is accurate. I hope that, we take whatever that we can and implement it and it works wholeheartedly today. So I'm with it. But I think Jalen Hurts has gotten a lot better than even that last season, for sure.
Yeah, and I like something you said there, but I do want to get this in. So I told you he threw it 43 times in that game. He's only thrown it 98 times this year. So, again, I'm not the best mathematician, and I know that it's not exactly half. I get that. I can do that quick math, but it's somewhat close, right? That's way more than you want him throwing the football, and obviously they've proven that. And to your point, yeah, he's completing 67% and almost at 1,000 yards already. He's only turned it over once. So he's obviously better. There's no doubt about it. But, and again, to the other point that you said, you bring in A.J. Brown. That's another weapon. Devonta Smith is into his second year, so he's even better than he was. So, yeah, they gave him the weapons, and he got better. But the part that I think is interesting that you just said is they confused him a little bit in that game, right? And that's something that Mike Caldwell can still do because he did see that part of it work well. Were the interceptions because of him not reading the coverage? Potentially and probably. But can the Jags' current defense do that again to confuse this guy? Now, again, to your point, probably he worked on that in the offseason because he knew what bit him. But I just wonder from what we think the Jags could still do and what we haven't seen fully, right? So to confuse a Jalen Hurts, is this the week that Devin Lloyd starts rushing the passer? You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Do they start doing those type of things? Do we see Trayvon Walker dropping into coverage a little more, which is something that he can do? Again, I don't think anybody's really excited to see that because they want to see him rushing the passer, but it is something that he can do. By the way, Kirk Cousins just intercepted in London by Tyrann Mathieu.
You don't say.
Just
one? Just one?
Just one.
Okay.
Yeah, Tyrann Mathieu, good play. I do want to get this out there. I was going to wait. I didn't see the play. I didn't see what happened, but somebody for the Vikings was carted off in kind of a bad situation. So I will get I'll figure out who that was fully, but I looked down and I saw it and I just kind of let it go. But I do want to get that out there. I'll get that information to you when I see it.
Can I ask you one thing, Kasey Kuhrts?
Yeah, go ahead.
We've been talking about how this is probably the best team that the Jags have faced so far this season. Would you say the same for the Philadelphia Eagles? That the Jags, I mean, maybe not at the start of the season, you look at that, most people look at the Jags as a, pretty easy win, but not after 3 weeks. Don't you think that this is a test for the Eagles as well?
Yeah, I absolutely do. And I think there's no question that this is the toughest team they've played. Now, granted, before week 2, after the Vikings dominated the Packers, I think we all said, hey, this is going to be a good one. 2 teams that look good in week 1, right? It didn't turn out that way. The Eagles dominated them. Washington, and I like the Lions, but they're not the Jags. So, yeah, when you look at this, I think this is the toughest test that they've had. Add in the conditions, but just talent-wise, this is a really legit team, and the Eagles do have to prepare for that. Yeah, so I think this is the most talented team that the Eagles have played. If you want to argue the Vikings, I would disagree with you, but I guess I could hear it. I think most people in Jacksonville wouldn't disagree. But to your point, yeah, I think this is the most talented team that they have played. It will be a challenge. And I don't see this being a game. I know the Jags really put up some points on the Chargers last week, but the Eagles so far this season have given up 35, 7, and 8. I don't think the Jags are scoring 35, but I sure as heck don't think they're scoring 7 or 8. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I think this is going to be, you've seen domination from the Eagles, and really you've seen it from the Jags. I think this is where both teams kind of come down a bit because I don't think the Eagles are the best team in the league. I don't think they're going to go undefeated and win the Super Bowl, right? That's what they're on track to do right now. On the flip side, I don't think the Jags are going to run the table the rest of the way. I think this is the game where they come down, they start to actually figure out who they are, which I think are pretty good teams, but I think this is going to be a competitive and good game. I would be completely shocked if somebody gets blown out in this game. Either way, I don't see the Jags blowing them out. I don't see the Eagles blowing them out because I think the Jags defense is too good for that. And the Eagles defense has proven that they can play a little bit. So, and I don't know if you see it differently, but I don't see anybody getting blown out of this game. I think it's going to be a good football game.
Yeah, hopefully it is a good football game. But I always get surprised at the things that I think could potentially be good that tend to swing one team's way or another. This has the potential, if the Jags have shown me nothing else, I think that this has the potential to swing their way like pretty fast. I think that there was something that clicked last week or the past 2 weeks. And I think that that momentum has a very high probability of continuing this week. Now, does it mean a blowout? No, but do I think that the Jags have what it takes to win handily? Yeah. Do I think Philly has what it takes to win pretty convincingly? Probably, just based off of how they have played against other NFL teams so far. But the fact that it looks like we'll have, all of our pieces on the field. Last week, the Chargers defense, I get it, minus a Joey Bosa. I get it. He was inept. They looked like they just got frustrated, and not give up, but it was just like, what can we do? Trevor Lawrence was hitting guys, and it was just peppering them. He was, boom, here, Kirk. Boom, here, ETN out the backfield. Okay, we're handed off. Then, boom, I'm going to roll out. I'm going to hit, Evan Ingram. Boom, boom, boom. That doesn't change. You know what I mean? I know the strategy changes. I know, the scheme changes a bit depending on the defense. But I think that they have that ability to do this here. Now, granted, the weather with the rain, how much are you really going to pass? I don't know. How many chances do you take down the field? I don't know. Do you rely more on the running game? Probably. But I think that the offense has the ability to really maintain that level of execution this week. I don't think that Philly is going to be like this thing where they're like the 85 Bears on you or something like that.
Yeah.
But conversely, the Jags defense, if they've shown you nothing else, especially with that front seven, I can make this a long day for you. Win, lose, or draw. We can make this a long day for your offense. We surely can. So Kasey, Kuhrts, I think it will be a good game. But would I be surprised if when we look up at in the fourth quarter, one team is up 28 and another team has 10? No, not at all. Not at all.
Interesting. See, I'm not there with you, but I think this is a game where the final score will not tell the story of the game. This is a game where the winning team could win by 2 scores to the point you're kind of making. But at the same time, 6 minutes left in the game, it was close. It was a 1-score game. It was a tie game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
This is a game where somebody scores late and then something happens, a turnover, you cash in, whatever. I think this will be one of those games where, and that's not going to play well for Jacksonville if they lose the game. It'll play great if they win it. But if this scenario plays itself out, the Eagles won by 13. You know what I'm saying? They took care of it. Well, then people are going to be like, well, Jacksonville maybe, it was the Colts and the curse and the Chargers were beat up, which I don't think is true. But on the flip side, let it be the Jags. And they'll be like, whoa, did you see the Jags beat the Eagles by 14? You know what I mean? I think it'll be one of those games that you'll have to watch it to get the full story or listen to it, but not – I don't think the box score is going to tell the full story in the game. Brian Middleton, let's go to break. But as we do that, just kind of to update what I told you from the game in London, Lewis Seen, the safety, the rookie, was carted off, which is was really bad. I watched the replay of the injury. It's not good. It feels like this is happening every game. It happened multiple times in college football yesterday. Obviously, the situation with Tua, but it's awful, man. It just feels like every game somebody's getting carted off in the last week or two, and it reminds you how violent this sport is. You know what I mean? And you want everyone to be healthy. It absolutely sucks for Lewis Seen. He's a rookie, first-round pick for the Vikings, and just not a good situation in London. But the game, like I told you, Kirk Cousins followed that up with an interception, and now the Saints are driving. But just wanted to give you that full update that it was the Georgia product, Lewis Seen. So hopefully that he is okay. But just wanted to give you that update as we go to break. ESPN690 Game Day Live. We continue with more right after this. Mondays like nobody does them in Jacksonville. We start with MJD at 3.
I'm excited.
You should
I'm
be.
excited. I hope everyone else is as well, because this is a different team. And, as you look around the AFC South, everyone's starting to struggle a little bit. And so you just got to keep getting better each week.
And then Rashean Mathis at 4.
As a Jacksonville community, we should be excited. We should be very excited. I love what I'm seeing. I love the passion. I love the aggressiveness. I love everything about the Jaguars and how they're playing across the board right now.
Catch them every Monday on ESPN 690.
Now, the First Alert forecast on ESPN 690.
Mostly sunny and nice today. The afternoon high in the mid-80s, but with comfortable humidity. Makes for a nice and cool night tonight under clear skies in the upper 50s. And your Sunday will be mostly sunny, highs near 85. From the CBS 47 and Fox 30 Action News Jack's First Alert Weather Center, I'm Chief Meteorologist Mike Burrish.
The Weather Center is brought to you by Beards Diamonds. Save thousands on buy one, get one on wedding bands now through October 23rd.
Gain presents a tale of longing and long-lasting scent. Dear love of my life, we were on the 12B bus when I caught a whiff. A scent so fresh, so life-changing, I had to find its source. I didn't know if you were the woman in the pink freshly washed cardigan or the retired mailman next to me, but I knew one of you was my soulmate. Ah, the scent of Gain Flings. Add Gain scent beads for an even longer-lasting scent.
COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too. If you feel symptoms, even if they're mild, you should test fast. Test positive and at high risk for severe COVID-19? Then act fast with authorized oral treatments that can be taken at home and must be taken within 5 days from when symptoms begin. COVID-19 moves fast, and now you can too by asking your healthcare provider if an oral treatment is right for you. Learn about a treatment option at treatcv19.com. This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Drivers who switch and save with Progressive save over $700 on average, and those savings add up. Imagine what you could buy in the future.
Remember how 15 years ago I switched to Progressive? Well, I used all those savings to buy that golf club that swings for you. But now everyone who plays golf is really good because, the club swings for you. In the future, which is now.
So switch to Progressive and save big because those savings can add up in the future. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. National annual average insurance savings by new customers surveyed who saved with Progressive in 2020. Potential savings will vary.
Asthma symptoms can attack anywhere, like on a city street. Now you can get fast relief anywhere with new improved Primatene Mist, the only FDA-approved asthma inhaler available over the counter. So whether you need relief on symptoms at the park or at your kitchen table, Primatene Mist starts working quickly, opening up your airways to restore free breathing. For temporary relief of mild symptoms of intermittent asthma, use Primatene Mist and breathe easy again. Available at CVS, Rite Aid, and Walgreens. Use as directed.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? A man age 50 non-tobacco user can obtain $500,000 of coverage for as little as $110 per month. Level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, there are great rates available for you as well. Call Term Busters for a quote. 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, call Term Busters. 1-800-908-7636. Sample rate for preferred non-tobacco rate class. Exam required to qualify.
Attention. Per the current government mandate, U.S.-based insurers are now required to cover at-home COVID testing kits with no out-of-pocket fees to you. If you have a current insurance plan, you are eligible to receive up to 8 COVID-19 tests shipped to you each month absolutely free, as long as the government mandate is in effect. Just visit testkitforfree.com to register now from the comfort of your own home. That's testkitforfree.com to receive your tests shipped to you at no cost. Go to testkitforfree.com today. Paid for by TRO.
Festivals, football, flannels. Some say fall is their favorite time of year. And this fall, there are now updated COVID-19 booster shots designed to help protect against COVID-19 variants. If you've had your primary series, schedule an updated COVID-19 booster shot appointment as soon as you're eligible. And don't forget to enjoy the foliage. Sponsored by Pfizer and BioNTech.
Did you know that feeling sluggish or weighed down could be signs that your digestive system isn't working at its best? But taking Metamucil every day can help. Metamucil supports your daily digestive health using a special plant-based fiber called psyllium. Psyllium works by forming a gel in your digestive system to trap and remove the waste that weighs you down. Metamucil's gelling action also helps to promote heart health and slows down sugar absorption to promote healthy blood sugar levels. Start feeling lighter and more energetic by taking Metamucil every day.
Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe. You can watch us on CBS 47 and Fox 30. You can listen right here on ESPN 690. And you can subscribe to our YouTube and podcast, Action Sports Jacks on ESPN 690. Action Sports Jacks. Watch, listen, subscribe.
Now back to more of ESPN 690 Game Day Live. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tekken. Here's Kasey Kuhrts and Brian Middleton.
ESPN 690 Game Day Live. We continue on for another half hour or so, getting you set for the Eagles and the Jags. 1 o'clock in Philadelphia. Rainy Philadelphia, according to Brent Martineau. We will check in with him in just a little bit. One final time, get a check of the weather, get a check of everything going on. But until then, we continue on. Brian Middleton, Kasey Kuhrts. A little fantasy, little surgical six coming up here in just a second, Brian Middleton. You may have heard our fantasy picks rolling through the station and on this station in commercial break.
Have you heard yours?
I have not, but I'm assuming somebody else has.
Got
hopefully.
you.
But I think I gave some pretty solid picks on there, Brian Middleton.
Yeah,
I went with Khalil Herbert, right? For the Bears. David Montgomery is out. If you were going to play David Montgomery, don't play Khalil Herbert. He filled in for him last week and just totally took off, which really upset the David Montgomery fantasy owners. I say that because I am one of them. I don't understand how Khalil Herbert pops for like 170 and David Montgomery's going for like 28 every game. I don't get it. But I digress.
He burned me last year. I'm never picking a David, a Montgomery, names that start with D. Like, nah, I'm good, man.
Okay.
I'm burnt.
Listen,
I'm jaded.
I respect the decision. But anyway, you could play Khalil Herbert. You could also play, I went with Jamal Williams. I'm not sure the DeAndre Swift situation, but Jamal Williams is pretty much their goal line back. He scores a lot of touchdowns. I think he's going to get an uptick in carries. So I'm looking at him as well. By the way, the Saints score a touchdown. It is now 7-7. Didn't see who scored it. And potentially Chris Olave. I will double check on that. They were showing him as they were kicking the PAT. So I will confirm with you on that one. What's the fun fact?
Chris Olave was one of my other tips for picks.
Really?
Yeah. Him, what's his name? Isaiah, McKenzie, and the boy, young Alexander.
So you told the people on the fantasy picks, fueled by Celsius Essential Energy, Live Fit, you went with Chris Olave and Alexander Madison.
That's what I said.
You are built different, man. That's well done.
I went to the Kasey Kuhrts School of Fantasy, man. It's rubbing off.
That's well done.
I spend money on fantasy now. Don't you do it, kids.
Yeah, don't.
It's not associated with ESPN or Cox Media.
Nope.
I'm just letting you know. Okay, that's all me.
Yep. I'm with you on that one, loud and clear. Well done, though. That's a great call. Hopefully you guys heard that and put those guys in your fantasy lineup because you have a couple of touchdowns. Well, right about now, actually. Going through the rest of fantasy, just some things you may or may not know or need to know. Amon-Ra St. Brown for the Lions is out. Will not play in the game. Keenan Allen, once again, out against the Houston Texans. Hopkins is still out, as you probably know, but in case you don't, I will let you know. Hunter Renfrow is out. DJ Chark for the Lions out as well. We know DJ around these parts.
Yeah,
but
I've heard the name.
1 and 2 receivers for the Lions are down, which I will give you a substitute for those in just a second. Jacoby Myers, number 1 receiver for the Patriots, is out of the game as well. So a lot of guys that are going to be out. Zay Jones, questionable. Again, Adam Schefter expects him to play. Haven't seen anything official from the team just yet, but I tend to believe Adam Schefter in this case. So Zay Jones, a good option in DFS. Josh Reynolds, by the way, is the guy I'm looking at for the Lions, is a fill-in for the guys that will be missing. Even with Chark and Amon-Ra getting all their targets, Josh Reynolds, 2 double-digit fantasy point games already. He might be the number 1 receiver today against the Seattle Seahawks, a team that I'm not concerned about on the defensive side of the ball. So Josh Reynolds is a guy I like. Also, Romeo, I think his name is Dubois. I'm not sure. I'm not going to lie. Okay. I'm not sure what the situation is. I know that Aaron Rodgers continuously throws him the ball every play, right? And I don't know a ton about the dude. I know he's mad cheap in daily fantasy. I know he had 8 catches last week. I know the Packers have nothing at wide receiver. This guy's been playing well. So he's somebody I'm looking at in DFS as well, at least at the wide receiver position, because, why not? Why not? Elijah Moore, by the way, becomes an option again because Zach Wilson is back. So hide your moms, 1, but 2, Elijah Moore, one of the favorite targets of Zach Wilson. DeAndre Swift, by the way, is out. So now Jamal Williams, way up at the top for me
for the Lions. Yeah, that is going to be a good one. Cordarrelle Patterson is still questionable. Schefter thinks he will suit up. He's a good play if he does suit up against the Cleveland Browns. He's somebody I am looking at again. I already told you. David Montgomery is out, so you flipped to Khalil Herbert there. But a lot of the running backs, like as you look at this, are healthy. Christian McCaffrey missed some practice. You know all too well about that, Brian Middleton. They are going to test it in pregame warmups to see if he can play. So not a confirmed guarantee that Christian McCaffrey's going to play.
Okay, yeah. It don't even hurt. It stopped hurting a long time ago. I grew calluses in the right places with Christian McCaffrey. I see all the talent in the world, deserves all the praise for being talented and all of the disappointment in not being able to remain some semblance of healthy. And that's okay. It's fine. You know, maybe he should tap out. He's not a quitter, but you know, you got to live the next, he's what, like 26?
Yeah.
He's got to live another 50, 60 years. You know, go ahead and wrap it up. Be a coach. Get on TV. Like, seriously, man. After a while, you get injured so many times. And this is just anybody. We were talking about, Tua a couple of days ago.
Yeah.
Like, just, hey, man, look, there is more to life. I get it. It's a small window of time that you get to play that game. You worked really hard your entire life to get there, but you got a whole entire life if everything goes as planned, afterwards. And, you don't want to. You want to have as much as your body and your faculties as possible for as long as possible. Anyway, on a tangent, continue on, Kasey Kuhrts.
No, I'm with you. I think it's a good point. And to the Tua point of it, like that's how I feel about Tua, man. You got McCaffrey's a good one. Tua, though, I mean it seriously with that. Like I wouldn't do it if I was Tua. Like I know it's a lot of money, and you're a great player, but like,
you see, they fired the doctor.
Yes.
What do you think about that? Do you think this is a scapegoat? Like, he needs to be fired, but that's the only person?
So it's a good question, actually, and there's no doubt somebody had to get fired.
Okay.
There is no doubt. So it's interesting that you put it that way, right? Because I don't know if that's truly the situation, but I also know somebody had to go. So did they put more of the blame on this guy because it was easy? Potentially, right? And I'm not a doctor, so that's the one thing. Like, I don't know what his role fully was, and what I know what they said, obviously. Shouldn't have been cleared, all of those things. I'm with it. Somebody had to go. And I think that's where you start. I think that's where you had to start.
That's where you start. Okay.
Because nobody,
that's fair.
He shouldn't have been on the field after the injury in the first game, and he shouldn't have been cleared to play in the game. So, yeah, it had to start somewhere. I think, like, if you think McDaniel's getting fired, I don't see it. Like, I'm not saying you. I'm just saying in general.
Oh, okay.
Because, like, there are people that are saying that, which, by the way, I don't think it's a horrible point. He shouldn't have been out there. There's no doubt. Somebody has to step up and make that decision, so I'm with you. But I would be shocked if he ends up getting fired because of it. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm just saying I would be like, if that came out, I'd be like, whoa. You know what I mean? Yeah. That'd be one of those things where I'm like, wait. Like, again, it might be the right thing, but I don't see it happening. So, yeah, that was a story. I think coming off Friday it was. So, yeah, somebody did lose their job because of what happened with Tua, and we will see kind of what else happens from that. Quarterback position, going back to fantasy, Brian Middleton. Zach Wilson, mad cheap. I'm not saying do it. I'm just saying he's mad cheap. That's all I'm saying. Might need some time to come back in, get back into form, but he's an option. Mac Jones, by the way, Jacksonville's favorite son, is out, unfortunately. He got injured in the last game. Brian Hoyer will start for the Patriots. I'm not recommending you do that. Trevor Lawrence is mad cheap in fantasy. I'm just saying. Did you hear the news about Dak Prescott, by the way?
Dakota? What's going on with Dakota, Kasey Kuhrts?
They're saying he might be able to come back next week.
Cooper Rush said he might not be able to come back next week. He can put the jersey on.
Yeah.
He can put the pads on.
It's interesting, right? Here's the thing. I don't disagree with you, man. Yeah. Like, Cooper Rush, he's playing.
Coop!
There you go. And by the way, as we lead into the Surgical Six, Cooper Rush is probably going to win again, right? Because they're playing the Washington Commanders at home. They're only a 3-point favorite, which is odd to me, but I feel pretty good about them winning the football game. There's some weird spreads, by the way. We talked about this on Friday. I will give those to you in just a second. Surgical Six, Brian Middleton. We start with the Dallas Cowboys. Don't even worry about the spread. Don't worry about none of that. Dallas Cowboys money line. They win the football game. That's all you need. Straight up, they win the football game. An AFC South battle, the Tennessee Titans and the Indianapolis Colts. By the way, Brian, feel free to push back if you think I'm wrong on some of these. I got Tennessee plus 3.5. I think Tennessee's a more talented team. I think Derrick Henry is a certified problem. Not that Jonathan Taylor isn't. I know
Sounds like that's what you're saying, but okay.
Well, yeah, listen, from somebody who drafted Jonathan Taylor first in fantasy, I wish I would have picked James Robinson instead. But listen, I understand the Colts just beat the Chiefs, right? Tennessee just found a way to beat the Raiders, but barely. I get that. I think the Titans are a more talented team. And I think if you're giving me 3.5, I don't trust the Colts to – the Colts could win the football game. I don't think they do, but I sure as heck don't think they win by 4. So I think the Tennessee Titans plus 3.5 is safe here. And the Dallas Cowboys money line. So then a couple others to get to the surgical 6 are I have James Robinson over 12 carries in the game. I think especially with the weather. And you could bump that up to even 13, 14. I'd feel pretty good about it. I don't know why his rushing props are always so low, but James Robinson anything over 15 you have to feel good about, like really good about. So I have that in there. Elijah Moore for the Jets, I just said it, over 3 catches. I think that's a no-brainer with Zach Wilson coming back. Zach Wilson loves throwing to this guy. So I have those 2 in there with the games. And then the final one, Brian Middleton, I'd like to get your take on. By the way, for those wondering, for the Jags, right? The Jags are, I think the line did not move. 6.5, right? Jags are getting 6.5. I'm not putting that in the surgical 6.
Okay.
Can't do it. I don't feel good about it either way, to be honest with you, Brian Middleton. But the last one I'm putting in here, and I need your take on it. The Arizona Cardinals go into Carolina, which, by the way, will be right here on ESPN690. You can hear it a little bit later. Why are the Carolina Panthers favored in this game, Brian Middleton? Can you explain that one to me, please?
Yeah, I mean, it just hasn't looked right for Arizona.
It doesn't look right for Carolina, though.
Well, but I can make the argument now, even though I wasn't a true believer going into the Saints game, that Carolina probably should be 2-1. The same logic I use with Cleveland potentially being 3-0, but one of those 2 wins for Cleveland is over a Carolina team in which they, it went down basically to the wire after Baker, led the team back and it looked like they had a grip on the game. So if I'm looking at a team that's 1-2 but could have potentially been 2-1, they have something there. With Arizona, they needed a miracle comeback. Granted, it started in the third quarter, but they needed a sustained miracle to pull out a victory against the Raiders. And I know we think the Raiders are better than what their record shows, but Arizona, I believe 1-2, that's not impressive. Kyler is still better than Kirk Cousins. Can't tell me differently, won't tell me differently. But ultimately, as a team right now, it's not coming together. Someone get, Cliff with a K, get on the line with him and tell him, hey, man, change something up at practice. Put some more pads on. Take some more pads off. I don't know. Go watch a movie. Go watch Remember the Titans. Because it ain't coming together right now. Angels in the outfield. Change the sport up.
You should really watch Rudy, especially with the size of your quarterback. Anyway, go on.
There you go. Yeah. Because now I'm hearing, right? Because 5'10" is what he's listed at. It's funny that you said that.
Yeah.
Someone told me they were at the game. Really good seats. They're he's 5'7".
Yeah, he's tiny.
He's 5'7".
I thought that last year when they played the Jags. I was like, holy cow.
Yeah.
Him and Chase Edmonds?
It's impressive. It's impressive. That gives me.
It is. I give you that.
I look at him even more. I'm like, because one wrong hit, you better be shifty. You better be quick.
Mm-hmm.
You better look like I saw this IG post that said he looks like a toddler when he's running a 2-year-old and you can't catch him because he's so small. But man, my point is it doesn't look right in Arizona. And I don't know if it's the new contract extension. I don't know if Kyler, they're saying he doesn't study. I don't know what it is, but I'm totally fine with them being on the road and being not favorited, with Carolina being favorited at that. Yeah, absolutely.
So with all that being said,
give
me Arizona +1.
There you go, Kasey Kuhrts.
I don't.
You push back.
They're more talented.
You're not a believer.
And if McCaffrey doesn't play, here's the thing, folks. Here's the thing. I can't tell you what to do. I'm just saying. If you follow some of the things I just said, this game doesn't start till later in the day, right? It's not in the 1 o'clock window.
Right.
You're not going to know about McCaffrey until game time. So you got to kind of risk it here, right? If you think McCaffrey is a difference between winning and losing for the Panthers, then don't do it. But if you feel confident either way in the Cardinals, because I guarantee you, let them say Christian McCaffrey's out of this game, the Cardinals will be giving points instead of getting. That's all I'm saying. So anyway, surgical 6, Dallas money line, Titans +3.5, Arizona +1, Elijah Moore over 3 catches, James Robinson over, I believe the actual number's 12, but 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, you can move up or down. I feel good about all of those options. The Surgical 6 Fantasy Picks right here on ESPN 690. Obviously, the Fantasy Picks fueled by Celsius Essential Energy. Live Fit. You can hear them on the radio throughout the rest of the day, and we appreciate the Go Tuckin', Celsius, and Polar Seltzer for helping us do this show each and every Sunday. We're back at the Duval House next week. Brett Martineau will be there. I'll be here. The Houston Texans come to town, and that would be a rowdy atmosphere, Brian, if the Jags can pull out a win against the Eagles today in Philadelphia.
Man, it'll be Super Saiyan level. You hear me?
It'll be wild and against a Houston Texans team, which is not as talented. Jags have had their problems with them, don't get me wrong. But, man, that could be an onslaught. And that could be an exciting game for the fans, and hopefully it is. We got final thoughts for this one, the Eagles and the Jags. We check in with Brett Martineau from Philadelphia. Coming up in the last segment of the show, we go to break, and we do all of that on the other side. Stick with us, ESPN 690 Game Day Live. Brian Middleton, Kasey Kuhrts. We'll be right back.
ESPN 690 pays your bills.
Are you kidding me?
You've got 5 chances to win $1,000 every weekday at 8 a.m., 10, noon, 2, and 5 p.m. This is a nationwide contest message and data rates apply. Complete rules at ESPN690.com. ESPN 690 pays your bills on ESPN 690, Jacksonville's home for ESPN Radio.
September is here and fall is right around the corner, so they say. But you know what else is right around the corner? Your family-owned and operated dealer, Arlington Toyota. Right now, Arlington's got 500 new Toyotas available, and you get a lifetime warranty with unlimited time and miles with your new Toyota purchase. Arlington's even got 400 used ready to test drive and take home today. And Arlington's 30-day exchange program comes with your purchase. That's 30 days to love your purchase or exchange it. Shop in person and online anytime at ArlingtonToyota.com.
We're local, you're local. Shop local. Please shop local retailers right here in the 904.
Shop the 904.
When you shop local retailers, you're making an investment in our community.
When you shop locally owned businesses, most of the money you spend with them stays right here in our community. Shop these great local businesses.
Shark Coatings, Riverside Dental, Tom Bush Automotive, Extreme Wings, Glass Specialists, Atlantic Beach.
Now, more than ever, we need to support local businesses and shop the 904.
They're a big part of what makes living in the 904 so great. To get your business listed, email shopthe904@cmg.com. That's shopthe904@cmg.com. Get your business listed.
Shop the 904.
To get your business listed, email shopthe904@cmg.com.
Prices are going up everywhere these days, but not at Beard's Diamonds.
Prices are falling at Beard's Diamonds.
Now through October 23rd.
Buy any band and get the other band free.
Yes, the buy one, get one back at Beard's Diamonds. Now through October 23rd, you can save like never before.
Beard's has brought in cases of inventory with the latest styles from the hottest designers just for the sale. It's the largest selection of men's and women's wedding bands in North Florida.
No other jewelry store can match Beard's prices. Buy any band and get another band free.
You can save thousands.
But hurry, these savings won't long.
If you're getting married soon or want to upgrade your wedding bands, now is the time during Beard's Buy One, Get One sale.
Now through October 23rd.
Get the lowest prices in Jacksonville.
Guaranteed at Beard's Diamonds.
At the St. John's Town Center or at beardsdiamonds.com.
Brian Middleton here, and listen up, okay? We've got so much going on in Jacksonville sport-wise right now. I'm talking about the Jags, the Jumbo Shrimp, college and high school football seasons. And you got to be able to go somewhere you know you're going to get the best coverage in town. And that's right here on ESPN 690. Every Monday through Friday, we have your afternoon and evenings covered with Action Sports Jacks with Brent Martineau, Aaron Schachter, and the boy, Kasey Kuhrts, from 3 to 6 p.m. And then we top it off with another hour of prime entertainment when Kasey and myself bring you overtime from 6 to 7. So really, what more do you need? The answer is nothing. So let me tell you what to do. You can catch us right here on the radio or stream us on ESPN690.com, YouTube, Twitter, or a bunch of other places that I won't try to fit in because I've already been talking for too long and we got people who pay money for spots that I'm taking the time of right now. Anyway, I got to wrap it up. Action Sports Jax from 3 to 6 p.m. and then overtime from 6 to 7 right here on ESPN 690.
It's the Blitz Scoreboard Show every Friday night at 9 p.m. on ESPN 690. Join Brent Martineau, Kasey Kuhrts, and the Hall of Famer Kevin Sullivan for scores, analysis, interviews, and live video of games on the ESPN 690 social media platforms.
Now back to more of ESPN 690 Game Day Live. ESPN Game Day Live is brought to you by Polar Seltzer, Celsius, and Go Tekken. Here's Kasey Kuhrts and Brian Middleton.
Couple minutes to go. Game Day Live, ESPN 690. The Jags and the Eagles coming up. Keeping an eye, though, on what's going on in London. About to go to halftime. Tied at 7, although the Vikings are trying to get in. Brian Middleton, what a turn of events it would be if you called it for Alexander Mattison and he scored twice. You know what I'm saying? Like, I have fantasy picks, right? Brent has them too. They play on the station. But, like, if you called that and a Chris Olave touchdown.
Come on.
3 touchdowns before 1 p.m., Brian.
Listen, man, the Sage of Duval.
That's all I'm saying. The people might be listening to you instead of me for the fantasy picks. Anyway, Jags, Eagles, final thoughts coming up. And we go to Brent Martineau. Television's Brent Martineau, I should say. In Philadelphia. Brent, staying dry, still raining. What's the weather situation?
Right now, it's just a mist. So we've got kind of a clear patch. So it's chilly, though, guys. It's cool out here in a sweatshirt. Wouldn't mind a little hat, to be honest with you. The wind's blowing. And, again, that's another factor. We're talking a lot about the rain, but the wind, you look at the American flag high above the stadium. Now, will you feel as much of that down on the field? Maybe not, but it could affect the passing game and the kicking game to some degree, and it's supposed to get worse. So I think weather's a story. And it's going to be a part of this football game to some degree. When it happens, we don't know. And I'm looking out on the field now. Not a lot of players out here yet. They're making their way out. Their tarp is off. And James Robinson was one of the first guys on. Chris Manhurts, he's also on. And you look at those two guys and you say, okay, this could be your kind of day. Can you beat them up in the trenches? Can you control the clock? Can you have more of those long, sustained drives? And can you get it done on the ground when they know you're going to run? Maybe that's the one fault of the last couple of weeks is the Jaguars, when they wanted to run it, needed to run it against the Colts in that fourth quarter. They really couldn't get it done. So we'll keep an eye on that today.
It's a good thing to keep an eye on, by the way. Just keeping up with this, the Vikings kick a field goal 10-7 going into the half, most likely in that game. Brent, I know you said players are coming out on the field, and I want to talk about the Eagles, though. Have you seen Jordan Davis? I know you're a big fan. I know we've talked about how big he is. Have you seen him in comparison to you in, like, real life without shoulder pads and everything?
Nah, I haven't. Actually, I don't see a lot of Philadelphia players. I think everybody's a little bit later out here today than normal, maybe because of the tarp or just because it's rainy and chilly and they don't want to get soaked. I don't know. But I haven't seen him yet, but he is a massive guy. And you team him up, young guy with Fletcher Cox and the veterans that they have on that Eagles defense. I mean, they're stout. They're good. We talked about it all week. You guys talked about it this morning. I mean, the matchup of this game is really wild because the Eagles love what they have. They should. They got a good football team. But the Jags, the way they've played the last couple of weeks, they kind of love what they have. And they might have a good football team. At least they do over the last couple of weeks. So it'll be interesting to see Davis. And obviously you've got a bunch of Georgia Bulldogs on the field, right? You got Davis, you got Trayvon Walker, you got Tyson Campbell out there making potentially big plays. And, you know, the guy I haven't really paid attention to is Dean. Obviously, linebacker, heralded, slipped in the draft. Really loved him at Georgia, but I haven't really seen exactly how he's played for Philadelphia so far this season, if at all.
Yeah, it's an interesting point. I was thinking about him a little bit earlier as well. Brent, we've talked a lot about the defense here, both sides, Jags, Eagles. We talked about a lot, but not the quarterback so much. We've talked about Jalen Hurts. Not a lot of Trevor Lawrence today because, well, one, he's playing well, so there is a story there. But two, he's playing well, so you're not really worried about it. I know a lot of the times we've done this show, it's been like, well, how is he going to perform? Are we at the point now where it's, okay, business as usual, Trevor Lawrence is going to do his thing, and we'll see what else happens around him?
I think it's a little business as usual, but I still have some hurdles for Trevor to get over, I think. I mean, listen, he's still only 20-something games, 22 games, whatever it is, into his NFL career. Actually, he's not even that many, right? He just finished his 20th. And so I think his short game, the accuracy is better, right? The running of the offense, this offense in general, I think Doug's doing a good job helping him out. I think the receivers are helping him out. I see a lot of trust and confidence. Those are two words that I really pinpointed against Washington. Didn't see it, but I had the last couple of weeks, and he's in a great rhythm. But I do have a couple of questions, and one might even be the weather. It's not that he can't get it through the wind or get it through the rain. It's the fact that Clemson doesn't play in a lot of these chilly conditions now. So in his lifetime, he doesn't play in a lot of this. You get some of it, but not a lot. And this isn't freezing cold. Like, this isn't 30 degrees. We might bring that question up at some point, say New York in December, right, about Trevor. I don't think this is the day to bring it up, but it's a little bit of a curiosity. And the other part is, I've been asking this question all week. Will the Eagles press them right at the line and really move up their defense and make Trevor beat them deep? And I wonder if teams are going to start doing that a little bit, but Trevor likes pushing it down the field. So will he pick his spots and make the correct throws and be accurate with those throws? And do the Jags have some big plays in them? I'm just curious. Are they going to just let them have all this underneath stuff the way the Colts did and even the Chargers did, or is it just too hard to stop? And, you know, Kasey, I asked every guy that we had on this week that question. And so I'm still curious about that part of it. Will the Jags sooner or later have to push it down the field because the team's going to take that away? And these guys are good corners now for the Eagles, so they have to keep an eye on that too.
Very good corners. There's no doubt about that, Brent. When you get back from Philadelphia and we're here in the morning, Monday Morning Madness, we encourage you to tune in. It's a good program. Me and Brent will have it for you. What's the headline? Just, you know, Jags, Eagles coming out of the game. The headline that we lead off the show with will be what?
Oh, good question. I like these Monday headlines, and it might be Jags are a top 5 team in the NFL. And by the way, I think you can get that headline. You're probably not going to get it in a loss. You need to win, but you might gain a lot of respect even in a tight loss, good football game. I don't think the league respects the Jags yet. Watching NFL Network this morning, they kind of were like, oh, yeah, Eagles going to win this one, Eagles going to win next week, Eagles going to win the next week, and just kind of skated by it. And I'm like, wow, I don't think people realize how well the Jags have played the last couple of weeks from a national level. And so if they can do it here one more time, well, everybody's going to notice because the Eagles are the toast of the NFL right now. So you knock this team off, and you're a legit top 5 team a month into the season. And I think the Jags have a good chance to knock them off. I think this means a lot to Doug Peterson. I think this means a lot to the football team for Doug Peterson. And I think you're going to see a pretty good performance out here today by the Jaguars.
I agree with that as well, Brent. Real quick, I said this earlier, and I believe it. I think this will be a game that is closer than the box score says at the end. I think it'll be close in the fourth quarter, maybe even tied. Somebody scores, and then I think they score again on a turnover or something. I think the spread gets covered either way, to be honest with you, depending on who wins. I think whichever team wins will cover the spread. Do you get that sense, or do you think this will be a 1, 2, 3 point game?
I would vote for the 1, 2, 3 point game. Probably not one, but I think under a touchdown. I think the way this is going to be played, keep in mind, Kasey and Brian, that they're going to play this somewhat on the safer side, right? Because you got to take care of the football in the weather. And so that, to me, allows for a tighter game. Possessions are valued. Possessions might even be limited. And then you're talking field goals and things like that. So I think it will be a tighter game. I see what you're saying there, and I understand that. But I think this is a pretty tight game, and I like that. If the Jags could win a tight game and maybe get a big field goal or something like that, that's just another element, another box to check for these Jacksonville Jaguars early in the season.
All right, 2 more quick. I don't know if I said last one, but I lied to you if I did. You picked on Friday Jags plus 6.5. Do you feel confident with that still with the weather and everything?
Yeah, I feel really confident with the plus 6.5, no doubt. I want to pick the Jags to win because they're playing well, and I just don't know if everybody realizes how well the Jags are playing. And so I like the Jags. Listen, I've picked the Jags when they're playing crappy. So I'm going to ride this wave a little bit and see it. I think Philadelphia's tough. I think the physicality of this game has my attention, maybe more than anything. And then you add the weather in, and I think that just exacerbates that even more. So can the Jags play physical? I think they can. I think they're probably more physical than even I wondered if they were. And so I really like the Jags in this game. But it's a good wave to ride right now for Jacksonville. I'll say this again. I tweeted it yesterday. I do have some concern over 3 road games in 4 weeks. there's no way to put a quantity on it or how many points that is or whatever, but I do think it's a disadvantage when you play 3 times in 4 weeks on a row.
I agree with you. And last one, Brent. Did you see Matthew Wright got a job?
He did.
How about it? Gonna kick for the Chiefs.
Yeah, you might take a lot for the Chiefs against the Bucs in that defense, so they'll have a chance. Who's handling kickoff duty?
Probably the safety. What's his name? Reed. Or whatever.
Reed.
Anyway, Brent, where we got countdown to kickoff at today?
Yeah, we got 11:30 countdown to kickoff on CBS 47. A lot of good stuff, obviously. Heavy Doug Peterson. It's a big national story. Talked to ESPN and CBS already, and I just heard that he spent a lot of time with some of the former folks, not a lot, but like 10 or 15 minutes saying hello to some of the former folks that work in this building, like security people and staffing. And so there was that before the game. No doubt an emotional game for Doug Peterson. We'll capture that for you on TV, CBS 47 at 11:30.
All right, Brent. Thank you so much. We will. I will see you 8 a.m. Monday Morning Madness.
Sir.
All right, Brent.
Give us a call.
There you go.
Give us a call, everybody, win or lose.
There we go. We want to hear from you. Thank you, Brent.
See ya.
That is television's Brent Martineau, and he'll be on TV in just about a half hour. Brian Middleton, we got 2 minutes left in the show. How does this game play out for you? Who wins? What's the score? Give me what I need to know right here.
Jags 24. Philly 20.
Really? Okay.
Come on, somebody.
There you go.
Let's go. Huh? If you're going to have faith, have faith. If you're going to believe in a team, believe in a team. And if it don't end up the way you want it to the first time, you come back to the drawing board. You come back next week, and you do it all over again until they break through. Jags 24, Philly 20, Victory Monday, overreaction week. Not just overreaction Monday, if that's the case. Kasey Kuhrts, that's where I'm at.
I like it. Listen, since the beginning of time, since Doug Peterson was hired, I said they will beat the Eagles because of Doug Peterson, right? I thought that was going to be the case. I thought he would will them to a win no matter what. And then on Friday, I goofed around and picked the Eagles minus 6.5.
There you go, Kasey Kuhrts. Both sides of the fence.
Both sides. So now I sit here, ESPN 690 Game Day Live, 25 seconds left in the show. And I'm like, you know what? Why did I move off of that? All the guys that I've called him, Doug Peterson might literally be him. And you know what? I'm going to get that pick wrong on the pick segment we do because the Jags win the football game. The Jags shocked the world. They beat the Eagles. They become the talk of the national media, and it's just a party in Jacksonville, and it's an incredible atmosphere against the Houston Texans next week. I got the Jags winning the football game, and they cover the spread, obviously, if they win. That'll do it for us. Brian Middleton, Kasey Kuhrts, ESPN 690 Game Day Live. We'll talk to you tomorrow on OT. Thanks for listening.
ESPN 690 Game Day Live.
It's amazing. Buying or leasing a car in Jacksonville